Welcome to Sprint Demos for 4.68, codename Zirconium. Get all your cheaper diamond rings here from Fleet today. We'll be kicking off the features from the MDM product group first, and starting with Gabe Hernandez.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, share my screen. Okay, I'm going to be going over this story here. So this was a story Victor and I were developing during the sprint. Since we install fleetd with custom configuration during new Mac setup experience. So the user story for this one is as an IT admin who's asked by my security team to point fleetd to URL that's different than the fleet server URL, I want to customize fleetd's config during the Mac setup experience, also known as ADE, so that I can enroll my hosts to Fleet. So basically, the short of that is, yeah, I want to customize my fleetd and then have that applied to new Macs that are being enrolled through the ADE.
Yeah, basically they want their own fleet D to come in and our server not to push down our default fleet D.
Yeah, exactly. The reason why we prioritize this is it was a customer request. And just before I forget, the guide, the documentation for this is going to live at this page. So this page already exists. It's the macOS setup experience, and it's going to be at the bottom of this page, the guide for this new feature. Okay, let's get into the feature. So I'll just start from the beginning. If I go to the controls page and I go to the setup experience section, specifically this bootstrap package subsection, this is kind of where a lot of the changes are. So I'm going to upload a package, one that Victor generated for us for testing. And this is the package that's going to be applied to these Macs that are being automatically enrolled. And you'll see this new kind of drop down here, show advanced options. So this is new. When you click on that, you have the option to select that you want to install Fleet's agent or fleetd, in other words, manually. So I'm going to click that. There's also some help text here that kind of gives the user a bit more information on exactly what this means. And I'm going to save this. So that's been updated. So now when the Mac is enrolled through ADE, the fleetd, the default fleetd will not be installed, and your customized one will be. If I have enabled this option to manually install the fleetd, you'll see in some of these other subsections that I'm no longer able to, for example, on this section, I'm no longer able to I'm no longer able to install software during the Mac setup experience. And there's some text here on this tooltip that explains why. Basically, part of manually installing the fleetd agent is that we expect that you're going to install software through that custom package that you just uploaded. And it's the same with run script. So you can no longer upload a run script that runs on setup experience because, as the tooltip says, use the bootstrap package that you uploaded to do that now. So we added that messaging. A couple of other things around this. If I'm going to deselect this. So this is now going back to saying install the default fleetd agent. You'll see that these are enabled again. I'm going to go ahead and upload a run script that I want to run during the setup experience. Give me a second to find it. Right. So now I've decided for my setup experience, I want to run this script for that Mac host that's enrolling. If I go back to Bootstrap package, you're going to see now with this advanced options that I can no longer select the option to manually install the Fleet D agent. And there's some text here that basically says towards the end here that um, if you have install software or run script already selected for install software or uploaded for run script, then you're not going to be able to run the manual Fleet D agent. So you're going to have to go back, delete that, and then if you come back here, you can see like, okay, now I can do this again. But there's a lot of messaging around tooltips that hopefully help the user understand what's going on. Some other things around this that are somewhat related to this is all of these pages, or not all of them, but the majority of these pages now use a preview video. So before this was a GIF. Here you can see the video controls and it can go full screen if you want to watch it full screen. So that's an update. So that's going to be on Bootstrap package. Install software as a video now. Setup Assistant has a video preview, and I think end user authentication. Yeah, so all of them have videos now instead of GIFs. So, you miss something, you can go back instead of having to rewatch the whole GIF. And run script is still an image, although the image has been updated. Trying to think. Oh, yes, one last thing. So if I go to my GitOps, enable GitOps mode, and I enable that, just going to put a dummy URL. If I go back to these pages I was on, you're going to see, well, I've already have uploaded a package, so I can't delete it now. This is now all controlled through GitOps. Same with the manual install option. And one last thing, I should have shown this before. Disable GitOps. Go back, delete the package, enable GitOps, go back. And on the Bootstrap package page, yeah, you'll still see that you're not able to control the Fleet manual install. So I think that's it as far as the UI changes. Another big part of this feature was supporting this through the GitOps flow and then also the automatic enrollment. And for that, I'm going to show a video that Victor made when he was testing that and making sure everything was working. So I'm going to swipe over here. Actually, I have to share my audio too, don't I?
All right, I can talk over it.
Okay. Yeah, so here's the video. I'm going to...
Yeah, I mean, up top you see the configs, the GitOps configs, Bootstrap package, and then this is a new config that I'm double highlighting. And then I'll just run it after I'm done talking, apparently.
Like you're lip syncing with yourself, Victor.
I don't know what this guy's
It's
talking
the Victor
about.
karaoke.
It's just and you see it applied, and then the rest of the video is just showing kind of the enrollment flow. Oh, here I'm basically saying I can just look in the database in the to kind of manually verify that that was applied. And then I just go through this flow. I mean, this part is standard. There's nothing new here. There's nothing visually different from really from a normal flow. So if you want to scrub this, Gabe.
Yeah, think this bit takes a while, so let's go.
It never gets stuck at that screen. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and then everything, and then I guess keep scrubbing. I think in the end I double check a couple of things. So I had a custom script that like added a log file, and then it also had the Fleet desktop. You see the Fleet desktop pop up in the top right. And here I'm just showing that my script put some files on the desktop.
Are we supporting, like, what level of support are we giving for people to create their own fleet wrappers? Or do we have a guide for it, or is it like kind of caveat emptor?
I mean,
Or...
currently we only have one customer that needs this
Mm,
feature, so and they're pretty technical.
okay.
So
Yeah, and I think in a lot of the tooltips and guides, we're kind of saying like, if you don't install some sort of fleet D, we cannot guarantee any kind of functionality after remote enrollment, because we have a lot of that built into fleet D.
Right, and like Victor like just demoed one where like he like had a wrapper that I ended up like putting the desktop on and everything, but like yeah, that's what they would have to do is figure out how to do that.
Yeah, so right now, instead of having the ability for somebody to like configure everything they could possibly do in a package or to Fleet D as part of like our application install command, this is just giving them that ability like, hey, we won't overwrite it with our current install application during the ADE process, and you can configure exactly what you want, however you want it. And that's the workaround we're giving them here.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions? There's a lot of chat. I wasn't looking at it.
All righty. Thank you, Gabe, and thank you, Victor. Awesome new feature. Next, we've got Jordan Montgomery demoing a bunch of renewing certs. Always good to have.
Yep. Give me just a second. Let me get this video pulled up and hopefully I can get it to share right with audio. Let's give this a try. Hi, today we're going to demo DigiCert and custom SCEP certificate renewal on Mac OS. In prior sprints, issuance of these certificates.
I think we lost your audio when you muted, Jordan. Or at least I did.
At the 30-day mark for certificates valid. Issuance of these certificates
Sorry
to
about that.
Mac OS hosts had been implemented using policies. And in this sprint, we implemented the ability to actually have Fleet automatically renew those certificates. The renewal happens at the 30-day mark for certificates valid longer than 30 days and at half of the validity period for certificates valid shorter than 30 days. So a 28-day certificate, for instance, would be renewed at the 14-day mark. So we'll take a quick look at the host that I've got. So you can see I have this one in this custom SCEP team. It's got a policy to deploy SCEP certificates via our proxy feature. And if I look at the details, you can see it's currently got certificate number 16, actually was issued today. We're gonna use a little database query to speed up that renewal. So I'm gonna trigger that real quick. Normally this process only runs once an hour. I sped it up for the demo. So it should check pretty quickly to see if there's any certificates to renew. And you can see similarly on my DigiCert host, he's got a certificate with serial number 5DC7 or starting in 5DC7. That was also issued today. And yeah, so while we're waiting on that renewal to go through, I'll just show what you'll see. So one of the things you may notice about this particular certificate on the SCEP server or the SCEP host is that the common name has fleet-AEC6. So that's the profile ID, and that actually comes from this new variable that we require in profiles that deploy custom SCEP certificates. That's the SCEP renewal ID fleet variable. And that allows us to properly track certificates issued to these hosts. This is only, as I said, required for custom SCEP and for Indes. So DigiCert does not require this, but going forward, all custom SCEP policies will require this. And if you've got an existing policy that you were trying out custom SCEP with, or profile, sorry, you will have to add this variable in the common name field to have renewal work properly. So let's take a look. So you can see this custom SCEP host now shows verifying. And what that means is that this profile has been, it detected the certificate needed to be renewed. It resent it to the host. So on the next refetch, it will verify it. Similarly with this DigiCert, so it actually shows verified already. So I'm going to go take a look, and you can see that the certificate serial number now begins with 6B68 and issued today. So that's got a new certificate. I'm not going to trigger the refetch on this custom SCEP host yet, because OS query actually caches the certificates for 5 minutes. So if we refetch it right now, it'll still show the old certificate until the next refetch. But we will take a look at the actual Mac OS hosts too, to show that we have a brand new issued certificate. And so this is our custom SCEP host, and you can see it now has certificate with serial number 17. We had 16 before. Otherwise same common name. You still see that fleet renewal ID in there. And then on our DigiCert host, similarly, if I open keychain, and if I so that certificate, it's the 6B68 one that we just saw showing up in Fleet. This was just issued a few minutes ago. And in Fleet, now that it's been 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and refetch this custom SCEP host. It should no longer have the old certificate in the OS query cache. And so that's done. You can see our OS settings are now verified. And when we look at this, we have certificate 17. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Jordan. Next up, we've got demos from Victor.
Thank you, George. So first, I have a very similar feature, what Jordan just demonstrated, renew certificates from Indes. And basically the demo is basically like what Jordan just showed, because the Indes is a specific type of a SCEP certificate. So the flow is pretty much almost exactly the same as for custom SCEP. The one thing I do want to add is that we did add additional validation for Indes Indes variables. So the Indes certificates is marked as an experimental feature, so it could be a breaking change, right? Because we're now validating to make sure the renewal ID is present in the profile. So if someone had an Indes profile that was working before, with this update, we will require a renewal ID in that profile. The guide is going to be kind of the same guide for all of the DigiCert custom SCEP and Indes. So the updates will be in this guide. I think this is the diff with the updates. Renewal ID. So I can see that we mentioned renewal ID here, which has to be in the CN, specifically in the CN. So not the OU, for example. Okay, so let's move on to maybe a different demo. And this is a POC, so we're not shipping this yet. So in the sprint, I investigated account-based user enrollment for Apple devices. And to summarize what it is it is a user-centric enrollment. So we're not enrolling the whole device. We're just carving out kind of a user area for the enrollment. It does require a managed Apple ID. And with this enrollment, we do not see the device's UDID or the hardware serial number. We only see the enrollment ID. And this enrollment ID changes with each enrollment. So if you've got a user at your company that just enrolls to use an app and then immediately unenrolls, you could potentially get a whole bunch of devices in your fleet because you'll have a new device for each enrollment. Also, we need to use user scope profiles for user enrollment. I think if you don't specify anything, it'll default to user scoped. So currently, like officially, we only support system scope profiles in Fleet. So let's go ahead and jump into a demo. Well, let me just finish with this text. So I do have kind of some details here. I do have a sequence diagram, both for SAML. We're going to be using SAML, but this flow could also support OAuth 2. And I actually have details about all the requests and responses between the device and the Fleet server for reference. Let's jump into the video demo. And I think I need to share my sound, right? Let me reshare with sound.
Share sound and optimize for video.
Optimize for video sharing. Thank you, Sharon. At account-driven user. Let's take a look at account-driven user enrollment with Fleet. So in my iPhone, I go to Settings, VPN, and Device Management, and I sign in to my account. And what happens now is Apple figures out where my MDM server is and directs a request to my MDM server. MDM server returns a 401 that it is not authenticated and redirects to my IDP provider. In this case, I'm using OAuth 2, but we will work on making SAML work on as well. So I also have a video for SAML. It's just this video has a lot more stuff, so I'm showing this one. So here I'm signing in with my Okta sign in. And I'm signed in, and and we go and get the profile, the enrollment profile from my MDM server. And now I need to sign in with my Apple managed ID here. Go ahead and sign in. And then we get remote management screen, proceed, enter my device passcode. And at this point, we are getting things like our MDM server certificate set up, as well as profiles being sent to the device. Looks like there's an ability to restore from a previous backup. I'll skip that, and there we go. We are in. I can click on Profiles and Device Management. And can get some details. So let's go and take a look how this looks in Fleet. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my iOS devices, and this device is right here. Because this is user enrollment, we do not have access to the actual serial number. This identifier is a basically a session ID. It's only valid for this enrollment. Let's go ahead and refetch. So we are able to see how much disk space we have, what operating system we're on. We are able to see the hardware model, and we're able to get the certificates. Here I just have a bad profile here. So let me go ahead and move this to a different team. So I'm going to transfer this to a different team that has some different profiles. Let's reload, and it's gonna download a classic configuration profile and then a DDM profile. So I'll give it a minute to catch up. All right, looks like we're caught up. So we have the classic profiles in verifying, the DDM profile in verifying, the other ones in verified. Let's take a look at our iPhone. Let's go back and forward. And then let's look at it. So we have a classic profile, which we have a Wi-Fi profile. And then we have a DDM profile, which is a passcode profile. So now let's go ahead and add some software to this device. So I have GitHub app, VPP app ready to install. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. And then if I go back to the device, we see this pop-up. So the user actually has to approve. So if I approve, and we will see that this app, whoops, is getting installed right here. It looks like it is installed. So if I go back to settings, refresh this. So I go back to this page, now I see apps. So I see which are the managed apps in my profile. And likewise over here, it is installed. It is showing that it's installed. So let's go back to the main screen. So we demonstrated how we get the profiles on the device, how to get the software on the device. Let's go ahead and remove from management. So if we go back to my Manage Apple accounts, I can just go sign out, and enter my passcode. And at this point, it is sending a command to the MDM server to check out the device. So if I go back to my server, I reload this page, and MDM status is now off. All right, that's all I had. Back to you, George.
Awesome. Very exciting when we get to build that into the actual product. It's going to be a lot of fun. All righty, next I've got some work from Martin. Let's see here, making sure we share the sound. All right, we've got use end users IDP info as variables in configuration profiles. So recently we added the ability to connect a SCIM client and add your user's IDP info. So now as an IT admin, I want to add variables in configuration profiles that will represent end users information and be able to be replaced before they're sent to the macOS, iOS, iPadOS host, so that I can issue certificates which have user details attributed to them. Now, don't worry about the 15-minute video we got here. We're just going to be watching about the first 3 or 4 minutes from Martin, and I'll explain a little after.
Of IDP variables into configuration profiles. So I'm set up right now to with a host, a Darwin host, macOS with OS Query Perf, but it's not really relevant because what I want to test is that the profiles get sent with the correct values replaced for the variables, and that the profiles get resent when those IDP information get modified. So I have my host right now with a username and IDP user. You can see it here, test user changed, it's part of a group C changed. Currently it has just the default OS settings that, the default profiles that Fleet sends to new machines. So it's now verifying. It will never get to verify because it's OS query perf, but it's okay. We can just ignore those two profiles. So now what I will do is add a couple of custom configuration profiles. I have prepared a few. So there's one that has all variables in there, username local, and group. I have one that's just group, and another one that has no variable at all, and the last one has just the username and username local part. So this will be helpful to see if just the right ones get deployed, get resent when there's a change that affects just a subsection of those values. So currently, let's see. So now it should start to receive the values. Yeah. Okay, so I think it has already received them. I will show you the terminal after. Yeah, everything has been sent now. So the 4 certificates have been sent, and let me just switch to the terminal screen here. So you can see I printed in OS query perf the content of the payload of the profiles. So this one, you can see this is the group one. It has the correct group as part of the value. Group C change, that's where the variable was. So it was correctly replaced. Next one is username and local part. So we can see that it's correct. Test user change octalocal and test user change is just the local part. So looking good so far. This one is all. So username, local part, and groups. And the last one is no var. So there's nothing replaced. There's nothing in there. Okay. So going back to Fleet, you can see that it's now, it has its profiles all correctly delivered. So what I will do now, if I go back to the terminal, I have prepared some curl commands to change groups and things like that. So let's see. Let's say that I will add a new group to this user. So that's create group. So I will add group D. And members will be the user. So it will add a new group for that user. So this worked. Let's see, let's refresh the host page. I will show you right now. You see it's already pending, and the all and the group profiles are marked for resend. So that's exactly what we hoped it would do. So that's what it's supposed to do. Sorry. Yeah, so that's cool. Now let's just trigger resending the profiles, and in a few seconds probably it should receive those 2 profiles with the changes. So let's see, this one is the all. It has again the username local part, and you can see that both groups are now part. I've now replaced the variable for groups, group C change and group D. So this is cool. Next is the one that had just the groups, group C change and group D. So all good.
Alrighty, I'm going to pause it there and just letting you know that he is very thorough in testing username, more groups, removing groups, and even showing eventually, I believe there's an error that we show. I unfortunately can't scrub and like see But eventually he shows that there's an error if there are no groups in this profile for this host, and you'll see the error show up on the profile details page for that host. And so that is, I think, all that we need for this demo, and that concludes the MDM features for this release. Next up is Sharon.
Okay, thank you, George. Amazing work from MDM. Looking at the time, we are 40 minutes in, so I'd ask everyone else to be a little bit concise. I mean, do the demo, but try to be concise. And let me start by sharing the screen. So we'll start with something that we will not demo. We continue to work on a feature that is called, we are going into being a compliance partner with Microsoft Intune. It is a feature that allows blocking users from accessing some resources condition based on policies that we will run. This is a feature that we cannot yet fully test because we don't have the full account, and product team is working on getting that. We progressed last sprint. We did some stuff. This sprint we enhanced it, and hopefully the final integration work will be next sprint with the full account and everything. So Eric is also helping the team. Lucas and Jacob worked on it. Again, we will not demo it, but this is just to say that we did some progress, and this will hopefully be presented next sprint. So stay tuned for that. It should be a very interesting feature. Next, we have Jacob and Dante presenting two features. One is we now have the ability to run a script on multiple hosts, and Jacob and Dante will present it. And the second is we have the ability to send queries information to a specific webhook or specific URL. And again, Jacob and Dante will present both. Who's going to start, Jacob or Dante?
Yeah, I'll take it. Dante, if you want to unmute and contribute.
Yeah.
Please
So
do.
for this feature, I wrote the backend and Jacob wrote the front end. I was planning on demoing them earlier, but my setup somehow got ruined before the meeting, so Jacob will be driving this one.
Yeah. Thanks for the great overview, Sharon. To read the user's story for formality's sake, as an IT admin, I want to select multiple hosts and run a script on them in bulk batch so that I can quickly resolve issues on multiple hosts. So basically what it sounds like, we've now got, from the UI's point of view, calling Dante's excellently crafted backend logic, we now on the host page have a run script button that will offer the user flow to run a script on all of the hosts you've selected. But first we need to enable it in org settings. Let's enable scripts. So we also need to select a team. And even if we select a team, if we select all matching hosts, we're not going to support that quite yet. We need to select hosts just on the current page. So say we select all 50 hosts here, and we want to run a script. Actually, I'm going to show you one more empty state first. So we want to run a script on these hosts, but if there's no scripts for the team, we're offering the user the convenient link to add scripts. And back to the happy path. Let's just select a couple hosts for clarity's sake when viewing the results. Actually, we'll just select these two. Yep. So we've got our host count here. We'll run on 2 hosts, and we've got a paginated list of the scripts rather, that are uploaded for this team. So let's see. We can run the script. We're informed of its success, and we have this nice little change of icon if we've run over the scripts. Now it's run again if we already ran it. We can also click anywhere in the row other than on this button, so over the name or over here, to get a preview modal of the script content, and we can also run it from here. And if we go to the global activity feed, we'll now see the per host activities. So you see here, and we get the script output, the output of the script run, excuse me. And here we also see an activity for the batch run itself. We'll have more details for that at the next iteration when we build out the summary endpoint. And that's it from the UI perspective. Dante, did you want to add anything?
I think you did a really good job of covering it, so no, I don't think I do.
Okay. Then in that case, let's move on to the webhook story. So again, Dante did the back end here, and I did the front end. As an IT admin, you know what? I'm going to stop subjecting everyone to my random server logs. Sorry about that. So as an IT admin, I want Fleet to send scheduled query data to a webhook URL so that I can ping a Slack channel, create a security ticket anytime a Chrome extension is installed by an end user, so I can investigate it or monitor for FIM/FAM events that indicate an end user attempting to secretly uninstall Fleet's agent, like Fleet's CEO did a couple weeks back as a test, which we failed. That is an epic user story. Okay, so basically, oh, I have a separate window for this, in fact. That's the one. Can everyone see this, or is it too big? Okay, great. Basically, we now have that looks like a misspec. So when we go to our query automations, we now have the option to add a specific custom webhook URL as our logging destination. So what this is a local URL generated by this webhook tester. Thanks, Dante, for finding that great tool. And the logs for this scheduled query will be sent to that destination every 10 seconds. So it should be running. And now we see a bunch of those coming in because I have, I think, 60-ish hosts on this team running every 10 seconds or so. So we're going to stop that now. And that's that feature. You want to add anything, Dante?
There's a
Good
question,
to me.
Jacob, in the chat from Brock.
Yeah, the answer is yes. We can add a webhook specific for every scheduled query. It works only on scheduled queries, but you can add a webhook. And just to remind everyone, we already have a mechanism that collects information from scheduled queries and puts them on some kind of a cache. It is limited. It only shows, I don't remember the numbers, 1,000 results. But now what we do is we can take the results of any schedule query and send them forward. And the purpose of that was that a specific customer wanted to see if someone installs a Chrome or something else, and then they could send it to a Slack message or something and monitor it. Of course, the options are unlimited, and this is a very strong option, but that's the essentials.
Thanks, Sharon. Anything else?
Thank you very much, Jacob.
Thank you, Dante.
So Dante and Jacob, great work. Thank you very much. And I think next is also Jacob with another feature, right?
Indeed, it is.
Jacob.
All right. And this was a smaller update to the fleet in your calendar event bodies that are generated in the calendar, as well as the preview UI for those event bodies in the fleet UI. So as an end user with the maintenance window, I want to see calendar event text that doesn't assume automatic remediation so that I know when there is action required from me. Okay. So again, showing the thing. So here's the first updated image. We've updated some text here to say maintenance required instead of whatever it said before. It's lost to the annals of history. Now I'm gonna, on a separate screen, add the dog food fleet in your calendar credentials to my local instance. So now we'll see the enabled modal count. This is the updated generic description of Google in your calendar events. So making less assumptions about what's going to happen and just directing the end user to where they can find out what's going to happen or what they need to do. Similarly, now I triggered this earlier just to make sure it would work for you all. Here we go. So this is what the new event looks like. Right here on the left. So we've got a new body on the calendar event. Shout out to writing HTML in a string in Go and sending it to Google and having them render it. And that is it for that feature.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob, again. Next, we have Scott with two features. I will only speak a little bit about the first one, which is a problem that we had. As you all know, we have the option to run GitOps, which is instead of people pressing buttons and changing configuration of the server, doing it via a code mechanism so other people can review it and approve like we do in code. However, this feature is typically used by new customers that join. If someone already has a very well configured server, they don't want to go into the same process of reconfiguring it using GitOps, and so they are just not using it. And the next feature that Scott will present is the ability to kind of export the existing configuration into a YAML file that can later be used with GitOps, and thus breaking this, I don't know, glass ceiling, if you want to call it, of not being able to, not a glass ceiling, bad analogy, but breaking this wall and allowing customers to use the GitOps. Scott, please take it.
Oh, thanks for that intro, Sharon. Very good. Yeah, I would say that the two things that we're working on here is, like you said, it's hard for people with existing configurations to migrate it because it's a lot of work. They might have a lot of things that they have to write in those files, and it's very error prone to try to write this by hand. Like I'd say it's nearly impossible to do, to get all of your profiles, all of your software, all this stuff out. So the story was, like Sharon said, to have a command to convert your current fleet configuration to best practice GitOps format. So in a way that we would suggest doing it, so that you can easily migrate over to managing changes via GitOps. So the command itself is pretty straightforward to run. It's fleet control generate GitOps. You give it a directory that you want to put all these files in, and I'm going to do it for dog food. So if I just try to run this command, it's going to say that the directory is not empty because I've done this before. You can either give it a new directory to put it in, or you can do -s force to just overwrite the files anyway. So we'll give that a shot here. It's going to take a few moments because dog food's got, a few teams and a bunch of profiles. It's got to export all the scripts. One of the only reasons we're able to do this right now is because of some great work on the software team to allow specifying software in GitOps using software hashes instead of actually uploading the software. Otherwise, we would have to download all the software during this process and save it to files, which A, people probably wouldn't want, and B, just takes forever to re-upload, which is the problem people have been having. So we can see some output here. By default, this tool does not output sensitive information like enroll secrets. It puts comments in instead. That's because part of our best practice is suggesting not putting secrets under version control under any circumstances. What we do for our GitOps is to use environment variables. That's what we suggest. SSO metadata is not necessarily secret. It's not private keys, but it can be used to kind of identify your IDP and stuff like that. So it's generally considered sensitive. We use secrets for that, or environment variables for that too. Some other notes about a few things that this tool does not support yet. The macOS setup config isn't supported because we need to do some extra work to download the bootstrap file if you have one in the script, and it's just something we're going to do in a second revision. So if you just tried to use the output files right now as it is, GitOps would fail, and it would fail for a couple of reasons, which I'll show. So if I actually look at these generated files without further ado, we can see this is our default YML. It's got all of the labels in it, your org settings, and you'll see, for example, here for our Google Calendar integration, instead of outputting the private key, it just puts a comment here. So if we tried to run GitOps with this file, it would choke and say, hey, you need to have a private key in here. And then you'd go and manually input it, or do what we suggest and use an environment variable. Same with some metadata, same with the enrollment secret. But it's got a lot of stuff in here. It's got your queries, all this various stuff. And it also has a file for each team. So we can look at, for example, workstations. It's got all the profiles outputted for workstations. These file names are not important because we don't upload those. We just save these files into the different folders, or into the profiles folder. It'll output mobile config files, JSON files, XML files, whatever you get, and it'll output scripts for software upload. We'll look at the software parts. You can see, as I said, each software just has a hash. So basically these will be no ops. Like it'll check, GitOps will check the software with this hash exists in the server. I don't have to do anything. If it doesn't, it'll complain, and then you've got to figure out if you want to upload a package, a custom package, or an Apple or an FMA. What else in here? So that's if we look at setup, is it OS setup? Yeah, it just puts a to do here, which this will also choke GitOps, and you'll have to fill this out yourself because, like I said, this part is not supported as of yet. There's a couple of other things that you can do with this tool, which are kind of helpful for the GitOps use case. One thing is, if you're very sure that you know what you're doing, you can do -JSON secure, and it will put those sensitive items into the files for you. You can also use this tool to output just a single team if you have teams. So we could do just workstations, and it'll just output the workstations file. Or you can do like just global, and it'll output the global settings. Another thing you can do with this, which is kind of I think a common customer ask, is output just a one or another key from your config. So we could do key equals labels here. And let's do, oh, sorry, I didn't do the context equals dog food. And it'll just output your labels. So if you already have GitOps, but you didn't have labels in there previously and you wanted to put them in, it'd be kind of a pain to write this out by hand, but now you can just dump these out, copy this, paste it in your existing GitOps file, and Bob's your uncle. The other thing you can do is just print this to the screen if you just need like kind of a gut check on how something should look. Oops. You still need to provide a directory though, because it's going to tell you like what the file would be that it would print out. So it'd say like, I would have generated this temp default file. I'll just dump it on the screen. And with this, people should be able to take all these files, run GitOps, point it at the files, and get their existing config up and running via GitOps. Let me check if there's, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to export here. So we've been, trying to be very, very careful about testing this. Still kind of in the middle of testing it right now. And yeah, it's looking pretty good.
I just want to add, repeating your last sentence, Scott, like anything else in life, when you do something great, it comes with a lot of risks, and this feature is very risky. We have a kind of a data loss risk, and we are hopefully doing the right thing to create properly and make sure that it's 100% safe. But yeah, thank you. You have another feature, right, Scott?
Real quick question. Why is it risky? What's risky about it?
We can have data. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's the goal is that if you have a really complex configuration on here, you can run this tool and then run GitOps and nothing would change, right? So it's just the risk is like if there was any key that's missing, any little obscure configuration, the way GitOps works is like if it's not in GitOps, we're going to erase it. Like it's good. So
the risk is only if you use it. It's not a risk for everyone who upgrades.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
Using the tool itself is risky.
After recent releases. Want to make sure.
Okay, and that actually brings up a good point that I neglected to mention that we meant to mention during Eng Together, which is going forward, anytime that we have a feature that we develop that adds something to GitOps, we're going to want to check that this tool outputs that key. In a lot of cases, you won't have to do any work because if it's just a new key in a struct, it'll probably output it automatically. But we should check because again, if it doesn't output the key and we don't check, then the next time somebody uses this tool, it would wipe out that setting, that new setting you put in.
Can I ask a question really quick, guys?
Yeah.
Sorry. Has there been any thought of like allowing you to output smaller pieces, and would that de-risk it at all? Like you're not doing the whole thing in one chunk. Maybe you're getting smaller pieces out so you can verify the smaller pieces before you put the
It sounds like you can do one team at a time.
You can do one team at a time, but like you definitely don't want to do smaller pieces. That would actually be riskier because anything that's not in there, it's going to erase. You can definitely do a team at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but GitOps is all or nothing. It's whatever is there.
Sure.
It erases everything else. So we need to be very careful here. And again, the QA plan is very rough and yeah.
Yeah, and like as Tim mentioned, we do dry run. I think one of the things that working on this is exposed a little bit is that like it would be awesome if there was even more verbose dry run of like, here's what I'm really gonna do step by step, like every profile, so you could really gut check it. Because right now it just says I'll upload 10 profiles and like we assume that those are the right ones.
And Scott, just one more sentence. The what you mentioned earlier to the Eng Together item was there in the list, but we didn't get there. Maybe you should do an ad hoc video or something to show programmers like what to do next when we have a GitOps development, maybe even before the next Eng Together. But this is a demo for public, so let's leave it at that. Thank you very much, Scott, and go over just present the other feature that you had.
Okay, yeah, this one is real quick, so won't take but a second. So this one was just syntax highlighting for scripts. When you're editing scripts now in the UI, they have syntax highlighting. So this is not the edit page, but it's the same modal. So you could go here to the edit, see that it's got some nice highlighting for the different parts of the script. Works for PowerShell scripts too. Such as it is. So now things aren't just all gray, and you can kind of see which things are variables and which aren't. And there you go.
Did you apply that to install and uninstall scripts as well?
I think it's using, that's a great question. It's using the same modal, I believe. So, or the same editor. So I think it should be, but let's, we can take a quick look at one and see. Nope, doesn't look like it. So great catch. We can definitely add these on here too.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And Luke, this concludes the feature part for orchestration team.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Got held up in a call. Good to see you. Awesome feature work,
It's
Scott.
okay. We went really slow for you.
I see. It doesn't look like we'll have time for bugs, but that's okay. We have the list, and features are always cool to dig into, especially that one. That's going to be. I know that's been asked for a lot for folks who want to migrate to GitOps without starting over. Cool. So without much context, I'm going to hand it off to Tim.
All right. Yeah, just a quick time check. We've got 20 minutes left. Don't mean to rush anybody, but I'm going to pass it over to Rachel on adding a new type of installer. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. So just a shout out to Eugene and to Noah for doing a lot of the design and product work that goes behind all of our features. So this first one was built by Ian on the back end and myself on the front end. So the user story is, as an admin, I want to upload .tar.gz and .tgz packages so that I don't have to host and install these packages using separate tools. And so now when you go to, oh, I have a wonderful video provided by Ian. And so I'll just be his voice for this. So now when you go to software and you click on add software for a team, you can see here that we allow .tar.gz files and .tgz files. For both of these types of files, you need to add an install script and an uninstall script because we do not provide a default one for you, similar to EXEs. So here we can see adding Ian adding an install script. Also, another thing I want to call out while we're here is on this automatic install on the options, we have that grayed out because we cannot create the automatic install policy either. So I will show you afterwards what you can do to automatically install that. So here we see it is successfully added. We have vulnerabilities are currently not supported because this is our first pass at this. Now he's going to the software page available for install, and he's going to choose to automatically install it. There should be an activity here. I think he was too fast or too slow, but you can see afterwards that there's no pending activity. So now there's a pass activity 10 seconds ago, and it has successfully installed. And so now he's going back to see that his files were installed, and he can see these two files. Yay, it's demo day for release 468. So thank you, Ian, for that. And then once again, like I said, we do not support automatic install policy creation just yet. So once you have your installation of a .tar.gz file, you would have to go to policies. you would create your own policy. And once you have that policy created, you can go to your Manage Automations software modal and go to that policy and click on the application you want to attach it to. Awesome. Any questions on that?
I'll just add real quick, yeah, kind of TBD if that's even possible to automate policy creations, because, you know, like any archive, there could be anything in there. And those are very unique amongst titles. Also, the other thing I noticed was installer path, a variable, existing variable that we use today. That refers to the extracted components or the extracted directory. So when customers are using this feature, you keep that in mind that they do not need to extract, have code, script code to extract the file. Orbit does that for you.
So thank you, Tim. All right, so I have two more features that I'm going to go through. This one is a micro feature, so it'll be a lot faster. This was a big customer request. So on the software page, as an IT admin, I want to understand what the icons mean next to the software packages so that I can understand at a glance what may be triggering the installs. So if we're on our software page here and we're looking at a team, I'm looking at software available for install. The only update is that these packages, it does not incorrectly say automatic install will happen for host or whatever it said before. We are letting the users know there are two policies that will trigger this install, or for another example, only one policy triggers Brave to install. So instead of saying a blanket, this will auto install, and our customers are getting confused and a little worried. This now kind of clarifies that, and you can always click on that and click in to see which policies will trigger the automatic install. And then finally, the third thing that I am going to show off is we've done a lot of work on Fleet Desktop, specifically the self-service section. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the new search, updates, status, and errors that we have there. And so for the user story, as the end user of self-service, I want to be able to search through a list of apps and see progress, failures on app installs. So that I can easily pick the app I want to install and see whether it's installed, in progress, or failed the installation. So here I am on my end user. This is actually my laptop. And this is the new self-service page here. You can see we moved details down from the top into the details section. And self-service is here. Sorry, something went wrong because this refreshes the token every 30 minutes. There we go. And I'm going to go to local host, which is less buggy for me, instead of my ngrok tunnel. And so here I am on self-service. You can now see that we have this new layout. It is going to be a more of a table form. Haziel is going to talk about the whole categories thing right here, but for this feature, what we did was we allowed the users to also see the failed installation information that we were surfacing to admin and IT under the activity feed, but now it's actually under the status. And then when you click on something like retry, I'm not going to click on Fleet OS query, you'll automatically see the installing Fleet software here. And it's going to do the same for all of your apps here. And then in the background, the new part of this is we are now polling every 5 seconds whether or not this has completed. So every 5 seconds, you'll see a new call to the endpoint to check if these statuses have changed, to let the user know that it has already installed or not. Both of these are rather large, so it might take a minute or two if we wanted to watch that. And that is it for this feature. I'm going to turn it over to Haziel to talk about our new self-service categories.
Hello. Yeah, that fit together really well. Yeah, so this is another another story and kind of this effort to spruce up what folks see on Fleet Desktop and self-service and all that jazz. So the user story, as an end user of Fleet Self-Service, I want to easily discover apps that I may want or need, organized by use so that I can be more productive in my job. So yeah, basically we have a set of categories. Right now it's a fixed set. It's not, it's in our database, so we can expand it as needed. And I don't know if there's, maybe in the future we'll have the ability for adding custom categories like user created and user created categories. For now, it's just kind of a fixed set that lives in the database though. And it allows admins to organize apps that they add to Fleet and to self-service by these categories. So to take a look at what this looks like here, I'm going to go ahead and add a custom package. This works, categories are available across all the app types that we support. I'll just go with this for now. I'll go ahead and add the software. And now if I go to the detail page for the software, I can edit it. And if I enable self-service, you'll see there's this new set of options here called, or under categories. And these are the 4, again, that we support right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and click browsers because that maps well to Chrome. If you click on preview and user experience, this just shows you a little image here that is kind of like an up close screenshot of what what it'll look like on self-service. So that's just so you can kind of get an idea of what you're doing here. So go ahead and save this guy. The flow is the same for VPP apps. For Fleet Maintained, we actually have a default category for all of the Fleet Maintained apps that we have. So if I go to 1Password and add it through Fleet Maintained apps, and go through and edit it once it's added. Cool. So I go and edit it. If I enable self-service, you can see that there's already one selected under productivity. You can change it with, whatever categories you want, but this is just one that we mapped it. And again, all of the Fleet Maintained apps have the kind of the categories that we thought made the most sense for each one. So I'll save that as well. And so now if I jump over here to my my Mac Mini that I'm screen sharing from, if I go to self-service, you can see that kind of like what Rachel just highlighted, there's this new layout for self-service, and you can filter by the categories. So if I click on browsers, it'll filter down to Chrome. I added them both, or oh no, I think I didn't edit the Chrome one to productivity. But if I go and do that just real quick. Okay, cool. So now if I go to productivity, it will show up. And then this is searchable up here in the search bar, so it'll be a little bit easier to find some of these apps. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this makes it easier for end users to find the apps that they need. Cool. And I think, let me take a look at the chat real quick. Is it settable in GitOps? Yes, it is settable in GitOps. Yeah, so I won't go, well, I'm about to demo something else for GitOps, so I don't know if it's in the configs I have there, but yeah, you can totally set the categories in GitOps. So it's compatible with that. And I think there will be we'll update whatever sort of relevant, I think it's like the guides for adding software. We'll be updating those to include some notes about categories. So I'm just going to keep on trucking to the other feature that I have to demo, which is something that Scott alluded to earlier, which is the support for SHA-256 hashes in our software YAML for GitOps. So as a Fleet GitOps user, I want to specify hash SHA-256 so that Fleet verifies the custom packages I'm adding are exactly what I expect. So this, like this story says, it kind of adds in some validation, right? Like you can pin to a specific hash of the installer. Another benefit is that it helps speed the process up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I have a bunch of software here, and you can see I didn't update this one to the new key. But the key is hash SHA-256, and you can see like here on this Brave one, and here on Slack and Zoom, I've got the hashes specified. And so when we run the first time that we run GitOps, it has to download everything, of course, to actually save it in Fleet. But on subsequent runs, this is going to speed up the process a lot, because if we already have this hash, then we're just going to kind of keep going. There's no need to re-download it. Previously, we were re-downloading the installer every time. But now it's just one, and then if you're looking for that hash and we already have it, it'll kind of keep on going. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure that I don't have anything saved in software installers in the database. So I'm going to go ahead and run GitOps. And you'll see this is going to take some time because it has to download all of the different packages. So it's doing the ones for Team Cool, and then it'll have to do the ones for Team A. I don't think I have any in No Team. So yeah, I think this was prompted by a customer who has many teams, and I forget the exact number, but like lots of software that they have to deploy and want to have added to those teams. So I think their GitOps runs were taking on the order of hours, and so hopefully this is going to help out with that. Okay, so this is done. Cool. So I'm just going to do some change here. So I'll change this to be true self-service. But let's go ahead and run it again. And you can already see how much faster this process is. Like it's already on to the No Team part. It's already on to Team A, and it's done. So it's a lot quicker than how it was before. And dry run is even faster. Like if you do dry run after you've installed everything, it's like really quick now, which is cool to see. So yeah, I won't go through all the different sort of testing scenarios, but you kind of have to make sure that this hash matches up with the whatever thing you're pointing out here in the URL. If they don't, we'll show an error. And yeah, definitely like the server makes sure that whatever you're downloading from this URL is going to match up with the SHA that you're providing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it on that one.
There's a great question in the chat. What happens if the software doesn't match the hash?
Yeah, it'll error. So we download if you specify the URL, we'll download it. Like if you specify the URL and the software isn't already in Fleet under that hash, we'll download it. If the URL changes, we download it and verify the hashes again. So yeah, that's being checked.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
believe that wraps it up for the software team.
Awesome. Great work. Cool to see the additional features for GitOps and the maturity happening there. I know that at scale, it's been getting a little difficult for some customers without caching and things like that. So great to see. All right, we're not going to have time to get into bug fixes and improvements because I don't think we can do 40 in 4 minutes. But take a look at the list. If you see anything that you're interested in, feel free to add a comment and ask about it, and we can get back to you async. Before we wrap, I do want to take a moment to welcome back an old new Fleety, and I'll hand it off to Sharon for that.
Okay, thank you, Luke. So I thought we'll be able to present bugs, and Juan had a few, but since we don't have time, so Juan used to work with us a couple of years ago, and he's now back as a contractor, helping us, helping the orchestration team. Juan, you have about 40 seconds to introduce yourself from the moment you were born until now.
Yeah, no pressure. Yeah, like Sharon mentioned, I used to be part of the team a couple years ago. And now that I'm back, really impressed with how much like the product has matured, like the number of new features that we have. So yeah, really looking forward to working again as part of this awesome team. And yeah, thank you for having me back.
Thank you, Juan, and welcome back.
Welcome back, Juan. And he was the first tech lead for vulnerability management. So you'll see a lot of Juan's commits, I'm sure, as you're digging into the vulnerability management stuff. Great to have you back, Juan. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining and for presenting. Have a good rest of your Friday, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye,
Thanks.